I did what you could never do for Yosef." With those words, she showed off her newborn niece, Amelia, to me. Seeing me struggle for words, Yara wore a triumphant smile. "Doesn't she look adorable, just like Yara? I bet she'll be a model or an actress someday." My betraying husband, Yosef, then added an insult to his remark. "Time to head home, I guess. We've been able to show our happiness to the single Kayla over here, so it's been quite a satisfying today." Yosef exchanged a sly glance with Yara, both grinning deviously. What did they think of children? Were they just tools to flaunt in front of me, who couldn't have kids? Their attitude was pushing my anger to its limits. That's when I realized something. Wait, this child. "What is it? You're looking serious, all of a sudden." Yosef responded, slightly caught off guard by my mutter. I couldn't help but find the situation amusing and began to chuckle. Gently stroking the baby's cheek, I replied, "Such an angel, but her skin." As I revealed a certain truth, the smug looks on their faces froze instantly. My name is Kayla, 52 years old. My husband, Yosef, is an executive at a major trading company, whom I've supported as a housewife for many years. Yosef occasionally brings colleagues over to enjoy my cooking. Most of what comes out of Yosef's mouth are boasts about his younger days. His colleagues, brought along, would force a smile and endure his long stories, saying, "That's amazing." When they praise my cooking as delicious, Yosef smirks unpleasantly and says, "Well, that's about the only talent she has. She's eating off my high salary, so she better do at least this much, or she's just useless." And so he said, belittling me in front of his subordinates. I'd be lying if I said it didn't bother me, but I always reminded myself that I wasn't in a position to argue. It's been almost 30 years since we got married, but we've never had children. I always dreamed of having at least 2 kids after marriage. Despite spending time and money on fertility treatments, we were never blessed with children. I felt a sense of guilt for not being able to bear children. So, no matter how heartless Yosef's words were, I'd smile and think, I can endure this much. When Yosef talks about work, his eyes shine like a boy's, and I was happy to support him in any way I could. After all, I'm in love with Yosef. Apart from cooking, I had another talent. It was sewing, a hobby since my student days. I started making hand-sewn dolls, imitating my mother. They became quite popular among my friends. I used this skill to help with the household finances, making stuffed animals and charms. It might not be much compared to my husband's high salary. But I kept continuing with this small side job, hoping to at least treat Yosef to some nice meals. Our apartment becomes a weekend retreat for my niece Yara. Yara, my sister Megan's daughter, works in admin at a small trading company. She had a reason for her frequent visits. And that was to support a budding idol group. "Did you see Trevor on TV the other day? He looked so cool." Yara arrived, fanning herself with a paper fan bearing a young man's face. Trevor, the man on the fan, is the leader of that idol group. They perform regularly at a club near our apartment every weekend, which is why Yara often stays over. "Yara, your collection seems to have grown again, hasn't it?" Each time Yara visited, her belongings in our room increased. "I mean, come on. When new merchandise comes out, I just have to have it. Plus, Trevor is the most popular, so it sells out right away." I couldn't help but smile wryly at my niece's excitement before a performance. "I understand the joy of buying your favorite idol's merchandise. I used to collect records of my favorite singers. But I wondered why she felt the need to bring all her new purchases to our house. Isn't it hard to carry all that around?" "It's fine. I'll just store my stuff here." Yara nonchalantly placed her bags in the corner of our bedroom. "It's just me and my husband, so we don't have much space, you know." "Ah, come on. It's fine. Uncle just comes home to sleep, right?" Resigned, I had no choice but to accept my niece's whims. "Oh, and I almost forgot. Mom made me bring this." With that, Yara pulled out a set of premium tea from her bag. My sister Megan and her husband occasionally sent gifts, and always made sure Yara brought something with her whenever she stayed over. Oh my, they didn't need to. After graduating high school, Megan worked far away until she was 30, then took over the family's variety store and married Kevin, an employee there. Since a large shopping center opened nearby, their business has suffered. So I always told her there's no need for such gifts. I'm sorry Yara's been such a bother. Megan would apologize over the phone, sounding guilty. However, Yara herself has become hard to ignore lately. She began entering our house even when we weren't home. It turns out Yosef has given her a spare key. She's here every week, might as well have one. Yosef had a soft spot for her. Uncle, you're the best. Yara would hug Yosef's arm, and he'd smile proudly. All right then. At first, I tried to be accommodating. But, 3 months later, a cash-filled envelope I kept in my bedroom drawer was missing. When I asked Yara, she nonchalantly replied, "Sorry, Aunt Kayla. I borrowed it. I really wanted Trevor's new merchandise." She looked at me with pleading eyes, but Yara has a job. She should be making enough to get by. Wouldn't buying it with your own money bring you more joy? Of course, I want to. But my salary isn't enough. Her casual words weighed on me. How much is she spending on this obsession? But it wasn't just about money. I noticed my skincare products were running out unusually fast. Since Yosef never used them, it had to be Yara. Confronted, she admitted it without hesitation. Sorry, Aunt Kayla. I just thought I'd use them since they were there. What did she mean since they were there? That cream was expensive. I frowned, and Yara pretended to shiver and rub her arms. Aunt Kayla, you're scary. Then Yosef would join in and laugh beside Yara. Come on, it's not a big deal. Don't laugh, you should be scolding her. Don't get mad. You look older when you frown like that. Yosef, usually not much of a joker, becomes chatty around Yara. I found particularly displeasing. Anyway, I don't want you using our things without permission. You have a job, so buy your own stuff. If you continue using mine, I won't let you stay over again. I'll make sure your mom knows that too. When I lectured Yara, Yosef turned red and shouted. Enough already. The things you use aren't even earned by you, are they? I'm the one who's worked for all of it. I'm not living in luxury. I've been cutting corners, managing with what we have. I'm not splurging on hobbies like Yara. It's my money, I earned it. If I say Yara can use it, then she can use it however she wants. Yosef's yelling made me want to cry. True, most of our income was from Yosef's work, so I couldn't argue further. Feeling abandoned with Yosef not on my side, I almost called Megan but stopped and put my phone away. Megan and her husband must be preoccupied with their struggling store. Complaining about my husband would just cause them unnecessary worry. Marital issues should be resolved between us. Days passed as I kept my concerns to myself. It was one cold Sunday morning during winter. A friend from my student days invited me out, so I decided to wear a fur coat I had never worn since purchase. I told Yosef about it beforehand. I plan to be back by evening, but if I'm late, could you start dinner? Just reheat yesterday's leftovers in the microwave. Don't worry about me. Take your time and enjoy yourself. He said, so smiling as he saw me off. Yosef, who usually belittles me in front of his subordinates, was kind and considerate when it was just us. I felt genuinely happy to be married to him. But as I arrived at the station, my friend called to cancel. Sorry. My husband's thrown out his back and can't move. I hate to do this, but can we reschedule? That's okay. Next time, you're treating me to fancy French cuisine. After jokingly dismissing my friend's repeated apologies over the phone, I wondered what to do, trying to come up with a plan for the day, but nothing particular came to mind. There's nothing else to do, I guess I'll go back home to Yosef. I stopped at the supermarket to pick up ingredients for lunch, thinking of making a warm stew for Yosef. As I opened the door, I was hit by a wave of heat and a scent of strong perfume. I noticed Yara's coat, a common sight on weekends. "Yara, are you here?" No answer. No one was in the living room. Strange, where could they be? I could sense someone was home, so they hadn't gone out. I stored the groceries and decided to look around the apartment. I could hear Yosef snoring from the bedroom. Was he taking a nap this early? I didn't understand much about Yosef's job, but being an executive must be tough during the week. So, I thought to let him rest on his rare day off. When I opened the bedroom door to see Yosef, I was met with a shocking sight. On our bed, usually shared by Yosef and me, lay Yosef and Yara, both naked and asleep. They were unaware of my return, lost in deep slumber. "Yosef," I called out in a faint voice. More than anger, I felt a profound disappointment in my husband. After calling a few times, Yosef finally opened his heavy eyelids. "Kayla? You're back early." He seemed groggy and closed his eyes again. "Yara, I'm home." Yara, stretching and slowly sitting up, noticed me and shook Yosef to wake him up. Uncle, wake up. We got caught." She spoke with a mischievous grin, like a child found while playing hide and seek. Yosef sat up lazily, sighing, "So, we're caught, huh?" and yawned nonchalantly. "What's the meaning of this?" Confronted with this betrayal, I even forgot to express my anger. "Well, as you see, we're involved, that's all. Both of you, get dressed right now." Surprisingly calm, I instructed the two. 2 hours later, my husband's parents and Megan's family arrived at my request. "Sorry, Megan, Kevin, to bother you at this busy time. Don't worry about us. This is a serious matter." Megan comforted me, casting a cold glare at Yosef and Yara. "What is the meaning of this? Explain yourself." She scolded at Yara, who only sighed and avoided eye contact. And to my surprise, she was checking the latest idol group updates on her phone. "This is not the time for that," Megan scolded, snatching the phone away. Yara just clicked her tongue. "Kayla, I'm so sorry for what our foolish son has done." Emily, my mother-in-law, tearfully apologized. Both in-laws were over 80, and it must have been hard for them to come in this cold. "Do we really need to drag these old folks into this?" Yosef complained. John, my father-in-law, slammed the table. "Do you have no sense of responsibility? Yosef, after such a terrible betrayal to Kayla. You're unbelievable," Emily said in dismay. "Yosef, how could this happen? Can you give me a satisfying explanation?" "No need to explain. Any man would prefer a young and cute girl like Yara over an old lady like her, right? As a man, I'm ashamed of you," John shouted at Yosef, who showed no remorse, his face turning red with anger. "Yara is no better. How could you hurt Kayla, who's always been so kind to you? Where did we go wrong?" Kevin, usually quiet, sighed in dismay. "It wasn't Aunt Kayla who took care of me, it was Uncle Yosef. He buys me whatever I want. He even lets me use all the cosmetics and bags in this house. So different from Aunt Kayla, who's so petty." "Yara, apologize to Kayla." "No way. Why should I apologize to her? I don't need an apology. Even if you did, it wouldn't repair my relationship with Yosef." I spoke calmly. I reflected on the 30 years I had devoted to Yosef, enduring his belittling behavior because I believed he loved me. But his betrayal shattered everything I had held dear. "Let's get a divorce. There's no other option." "Is that what you want, Kayla?" Megan asked, and I nodded firmly. "Thanks, Kayla. Now we can marry openly," Yosef said, hugging Yara. They gazed at each other, unconcerned about the family's presence. "On the way here, Dad and I decided, if you showed no remorse, we would disown you today," Megan said to Yara, her voice tinged with anger and sadness. That's fine. I don't need you guys anymore. I have Uncle Yosef now. Then it's decided. Don't ever cross our doorstep again, Kevin declared firmly. Yosef, we too have decided to disown you today. Megan's family and my in-laws apologized to me before leaving in a somber mood. Afterward, my divorce from Yosef was finalized. The divorce mediation, handled by lawyers, granted me compensation from both Yosef and Yara. Yosef, not wanting to burden Yara, paid both their shares in full. Within a month of our divorce, Yosef remarried Yara. I'm an executive at a major trading company. I can afford it. You can have all the marital assets, Yosef boasted, relinquishing his shared property. Despite his pride, he seemed to be struggling financially after paying both settlements. But he was a stranger to me now, so I focused on moving forward. I returned to my family home and began helping at Megan's variety store. Both my elderly parents were in a care facility. I took over the shop when Megan and her husband visited them. Sorry for always making you help out. It's me who should be grateful. I can't expect to be fed without doing anything. Megan and her husband always looked out for me after what I had gone through. Mostly out of concern for the mistake their daughter had made. Their feelings were so apparent that I felt more apologetic than they did. That summer, 3 years after I had returned home, Yosef and Yara unexpectedly appeared before me. Why are you here? I was stunned to see them smiling as they entered the shop. It's been a while, Aunt Kayla. Yara greeted, holding a newborn baby in her arms. Seeing the baby, I was at a loss for words. Since Yara was holding the child, it must be her baby. That would mean the father is, of course, Yosef. Seeing my speechlessness, Yara wore a triumphant smile. I did what you could never do for Yosef, she said, playing with the baby. She now called Yosef by his name, not uncle anymore. That reality shook me deeply. Then Megan and her husband returned. What are you doing here after all this time? Is that how you greet your daughter who's just returned home after 3 years? Yara retorted, showing off the baby. Look, Mom. Our child, Amelia. She's your first grandchild. Indeed. Congratulations. Megan replied emotionlessly, avoiding her daughter's gaze. Yara turned to me, smiling. I came to announce the birth of my daughter. Celebrate with us, Aunt Kayla. Say hello to Amelia. Enough. What on earth are you thinking? Have you considered Kayla's feelings? Kevin raised his voice, uncharacteristically angry. Doesn't she look adorable, just like Yara? I bet she'll be a model or an actress someday, Yosef said lazily. Megan, unable to bear it, grabbed a broom to chase them away. Leave now. This isn't your place. You're disrupting our business, so go away. Time to leave. We've boasted enough happiness to the lonely, single Kayla. It's a quite satisfying day today, Yosef said, exchanging a conniving smile with Yara. What did they think of children? Using a child as a tool to flaunt and bask in their superiority? As I sadly watched the baby in Yara's arms, I realized something. Wait, this child. What is it? You're looking serious, all of a sudden, Yosef asked, puzzled. I suddenly found the situation amusing and started to chuckle. What's with the sudden laughter? Something wrong? Looks like Aunt Kayla's gone crazy from the shock. Gently stroking the baby's cheek, I replied. Like an angel, but her skin. Her skin? What about it? It looks so healthy. A beautiful tan, unlike Yosef's fair skin. Indeed, the baby's skin was a stark contrast to Yosef's paleness. What's wrong with that? None of my family or relatives have such tan skin. Is that strange? There are people in the world with tan skin. Oh, Yara once mentioned her great-grandfather was tan. That's genetics, right? Yosef said, acting knowledgeable. At that moment, my suspicions about Yara turned into certainty. That's impossible. What do you mean, impossible? Yosef questioned, suddenly anxious. I fetched an old family album from a closet in the room my grandparents used to use. Here, something I want you to see. Saying this, I showed a photo from the album. It's just a regular family photo. In the photo were me, Megan, our parents, and grandparents. It was taken in front of the store when my parents first started their variety store. This tall man on the right is my grandfather, Yara's great-grandfather. So? It's just a normal family photo. Don't you see? Look at my grandfather's skin. Fair-skinned, so what? That's normal, right? Yosef seemed to not grasp the reality. While he was confused, Yara's face turned pale. Enough. Amelia needs her milk. Let's go. Yara urged, tugging at Yosef's shirt. Unaware of the truth, Yosef started to leave, so I gave him another hint. There's no one with tan skin in my family, not just my grandfather. No relatives either. Wait, does that mean? Finally, Yosef seemed to understand what I was implying. That means the likelihood of you two having a tan child is 0. I said emphatically. Yosef started shaking. It's a waste of time being here. Let's go home. Yara hurried him, but Yosef, now understanding, didn't move. He turned to Yara, questioning her sternly. What's this about? Our child shouldn't be tan. Then whose child is this? There's something else I want you to see. I snatched Trevor's keychain from Yara's bag and showed it to Yosef. Trevor, known for being half Hispanic and half American, publicly acknowledged his mixed heritage. Yara had always admired Trevor's mixed heritage, often praising his appearance as cool. This guy. He has the same skin color as Amelia. Yara, initially frightened, quickly turned defiant and laughed. Oops, looks like I got caught. That's right. Amelia isn't your child. She's mine and Trevor's. I seduced him, and he fell for me immediately. Yara boastfully recounted her affair with Trevor. You've been deceiving me? Seriously, did you think a young and cute girl like me would be into an old guy like you? Hilarious. I approached you because you're an executive and seemed wealthy. With your money, I could buy lots of Trevor's merch and win him over. So, I was just an ATM to you. Yosef realized the truth and erupted in anger. Of course. I endured it for the money. Who would willingly share a bed with an old man like you? I let you live in a dream for 3 years. You should thank me. What did you say? Megan, my husband, and I were stunned as Yara and Yosef argued. Enough, both of you. The baby is crying. Can't you hear her? Megan shouted, stopping their quarrel. I can't stand this anymore. You're not family, just strangers. Leave now. Megan ushered Yara and Yosef out. Poor Amelia. That was my honest thought. 2 months later, Yosef visited me alone. Suddenly bowing deeply, he shamelessly begged, Please, Kayla, give me another chance. I did a DNA test. There's no blood relation between me and Amelia. I was deceived. Oh, really? And? I couldn't forgive Yara and Trevor for conspiring to make me raise their child. I stormed into Trevor's dressing room at a concert and demanded compensation. Oh my. How challenging for you. I humored him, though I was indifferent. I had already learned about the scandal from the TV and magazines. Trevor impregnated a married fan and let the husband raise the child as his own. This scandal became widely known, bringing national attention to the obscure idol group. Facing nationwide criticism, Trevor's agency couldn't defend him and ended his contract, as reported by tabloid TV. I saw it on TV. They're responsible for their actions. Right? They're terrible. Yosef laughed, thinking I was agreeing with him. Moreover, the tabloids, not easing their investigative efforts, ruthlessly delved into the life of Trevor's partner, Yara. Astonishingly, it was revealed that Yara had been physically involved with multiple men besides Trevor, earning money from them. Apparently, her goal was to financially support Trevor. You see? I'm just another victim deceived by them. So please, let's start over again. I decline. As Yosef tearfully begged, I replied emotionlessly. I called Kevin from the back of the store to escort Yosef out. If you keep bothering Kayla, we'll call the police. Kevin's firm warning sent Yosef away, dejected. A month passed. Though the media frenzy had subsided, reports about Trevor and Yara continued. Trevor, ousted from the group, was reportedly exploiting Yara for money. Yara started working at a nightclub to make ends meet. Raising a child was proving difficult for Yara and her strained finances. In the end, feeling sorry for Amelia, Megan and her husband decided to take her in and raise her. There's been a lot, but she's still our granddaughter. That's right. The child is innocent. The couple cared for Amelia while managing their store. As for me, I left home to fulfill my dream of opening a sewing class. I couldn't just keep relying on Megan and her husband forever. Megan told me I could stay as long as I wanted, but when I mentioned that I had things I wanted to do, she happily encouraged me to pursue them. Amelia's first birthday was approaching. What should I gift her? Partially to see Amelia and partially to visit Megan and her husband, I still occasionally stop by the family store.